so large. Again, LPL is the largest professional league that's being played right now with 12 teams.
12 teams.
By having a point system, it gives a lot of power to the bottom tier teams to impact the top tier teams' standings. So you can't just run away with it, which is why we see, you know, all those not horror stories, but last minute scrape-ins on playoffs for like Masters 3 and WB and Invictus Gaming, things like that.
Yeah, so we have now entered the pick and ban phase. You can see Snake trying to take away that Echo and Alistar away from Lei once again. There's the Callista Rise being stricken from the other side. That was what Snake banned out last time. Seems like RNG are the guys removing it from the board right now. And yeah, the respect ban for Xiaohu's Azir. Victor is still open. So too is Hecarim, Nautilus, a lot of very strong meta picks. So
good call,
there
RNG.
Goes the Victor ban.
Okay. Yeah, very expected. I like the fact that RNG did decide to ban Victor. That said, does leave Sivir open. Immediately the Sivir lock-in. And speaking of the evolution of Snake and the evolution of Crystal, again, the fact that he's starting to play Sivir. Before last split, Crystal wouldn't have touched that champion. It was pretty much, you know, Draven, Kog'Maw, Tristana, things like that. Hyper-scaling champions that he could just hard carry on. The fact that he's opening up his champion pool, that he's being more of a utility resource for his team, is definitely helping Snake kind of mature and come into their own as a top-tier LPL team.
And with that Sivir secured, it looks like RNG are looking for something a little bit more standard. There was a swap that we unfortunately didn't get to see. Let Me is taking the place of Sky for RNG, so we're not going to see Godlike this time around. You can see MLXG on the screen right there. He's going to lock in Thresh for Lei, and once again, Wu Xin could be going back to that Varus. Then again, it could go to Xiaohu.
Yeah, we'll see where that one ends up. I actually find it really interesting that RNG is high prioritizing Varus so early, and the fact that he does have a place right now in the current meta, at least in China, as a flex pick, a counter option to those control mages in the mid lane like Azir, like Cassiopeia, like Victor. That said, by not taking Hecarim's second rotation, it offers up the free Sivir Hecarim synergy that Snake grabbed.
Yeah, and with that secured, you mentioned it exactly. It's going to be Flandre on Hecarim in the top lane. Beast taking Gragas to deal with it. You can see Maokai now being hovered out by RNG to deal with Flandre's Hecarim, and it is locked in, and MLXG is going to try his hand on Rek'Sai.
So again, Snake looking for a very 5v5 composition. No surprises there. RNG will see if they're able to kind of scrape by with their same strategy of being that turtle, grouping up and using a massive front line to peel for their poke. They already have Varus, so we'll see what they pick for the mid lane.
We'll definitely have to see, as they could still go for another AP carry. They could pick up Cassiopeia, or they could try to go for another AP carry for Wu Xin. Right now it's Snake going for their last two picks. Looks like it might be Yu on something a little bit more safe. Once again, returning to his control mage roots on that Lulu. And Ella getting the 5th draft Nautilus.
A lot of speed on the side of Snake right now. So they're all about that zippy.
All about that go button.
Please do Corki. So typically when we see Corki in the mid lane, he likes to build Luden's Echo.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of AP Corkis, just ridiculous damage with the rockets. And again, it's used very much in the same vein that a Varus or a Jace would be used.
Ooh, Wu Xin was just looking at Ashe right there. That would certainly be interesting. Again, this is patch 5.11, so the Ashe reworks have been out for quite a while now. And yeah, the Corki is going to be locked in for RNG. They decide to swap around, and it's going to be Corki in the mid lane. Nope, that's Varus in the mid lane.
Okay, so it's going to be Varus this time around, so pretty much exactly the same style of composition coming out from RNG, though. You got a big front zone control tank line. You've got Maokai, you even got Thresh with the box. Rek'Sai is going to be able to get flashback there for some backline threat. And then you have your two poke champions, Corki and Varus.
Yeah, the thing that kind of scares me, though, is Flandre's Hecarim. He's got the support of that Crystal Sivir this time around. So
Sivir and use Lulu.
Use
Lulu, though. Can't.
Exactly. But to continue on that, they dive really strongly, and Flandre built a little bit questionably in the last game, going for that full AP Magus enchant. And this time he's going to be on something a little bit more standard on that Hecarim. I'm curious to see if he does still go Triforce first, or if he goes for tanky items so he can more effectively dive. But you can see we're running through the rosters right now. There's Ella and Lei.
Yeah, it's curious what Flandre's build path is going to be. He's had some, we'll call them cute options with his top lane Echo as well as his last top lane Fizz. Didn't go for the Trinity that time around. I imagine because it's Flandre, he'll be looking for more damage-oriented builds as opposed to resistances. That said, Snake brought a lot more consistent options. It's very clear how they want to team fight this, and it's to press go and try to run RNG over.
Yeah, so we'll see if they are going to be able to pull that off, or if once again, RNG can stagger it out as the monolith, as the turtle, with that nice hard shell and the juicy, corky, Varus-filled interior. But we have now loaded onto the Rift. We're going to get on right now. And we have now loaded onto the Rift. It's Snake and RNG. This is week 5, day 3 of the LPL. We're in game number 2 between Snake and RNG. And you can see we've got a 5-man group out of Snake. There are some forward wards in the river that should be able to spot them. They might wait for them to time out and go for the delayed invade, but they're spotted.
Yeah, they are spotted out by a ward, so the question's going to be, are we going to see a lane swap? Will it be a 2v2 in the bottom side? Now, last time Snake initiated the lane swap, pushing Crystal to the top side of the map, and it looked good as far as lane phase was concerned, but they weren't able to make it connect for the rest of the game.
Yeah, so we can see a secondary 5-man group from RNG to try answering it. Recalls coming out of Ella.
Get him, Lay.
And Crystal. Yeah, they're going to let them go. And it seems like, once again, Snake opt into the lane swap.
Because they backed on a ward, it tells RNG exactly that the lane swap is going through. There's no real reason for Sivir to back if she's not going to immediately run to the top lane, which is why you saw Xiaohu reset his positioning there. Of course, as I say that, I'm realizing that that is this time around mid-lane Varus and not the 80 carry. So never mind, they're just going to let that one go. So RNG see it, and they're just going to, this is mine.
Delayed invade. They might be trying to come around. There are some retreat pings. Beast spots it out. He's not going to be able to secure his red buff as RNG swiped that one for themselves. You can see Ekrim is trying to start off with that Gromp camp. Will succeed in that at the very least, but he's going into a lane duo. Might be a bit of a tricky proposition for that poor Hecarim.
So this is fine. RNG are completely okay to take this lane swap right here because Flandre is a big piece for Snake's success. And, you know, denying him the 1v1 is always going to be potent. It doesn't matter if he's on his Fizz or his Hecarim.
The funny thing is, it's not RNG who are denying the 1v1.
I know,
it's Snake
it's
who lopped into it.
The Snake, that's what's weird to me about it. Is the Snake have done it this 2 times in a row right now where they initiated the lane swap. And again, if I'm RNG, I'm like, you want to cripple your carry top laner? Go right ahead.
Doesn't seem like Flandre is going to have that much of a good time. You can see he recalled and is now heading into the jungle. And RNG set up a proxy with MLXG catching some waves down here. Interesting that they're not feeding that over to Wushin. Oh, I think MLXG is just staggering. Here's Wushin. Now he's going to be able to catch it. As he tries to fast shove that turret.
Yeah, they're trying to deny as much CS as possible. Now, the thing that's really important to note is Sivir in a lane swap is going to have much more pressure on the tower and wave manipulation just with her Boomerang Blade and her Ricochet. Obviously, when Wushin gets his initial back, if he decides to go the Uzi route and look for Sheen first or either a Phage, he can start pushing down towers with Sheen procs, but Sivir should be able to at least get the first initial tower and trade here.
Yeah, we can see right now that Crystal is shoving on the top side of the map as well, while the junglers are nice and safe. Yeah, this mid wave is going to be able to make it under the turret just fine as Xiaohu continues to shove in the mid lane. And all in all, looks like we're having a very similar early game to the same one that we had last time.
But, I mean, we also have to talk about the fact that last time this happened, RNG were perfectly fine because they really understood what their composition did as a 5v5. So we'll see if maybe Snake change up their strategy this time around, or if they're going to go ahead and have another elongated lane phase and just try to power through the team fights. You want to talk about brute force, Hecarim Sivir.
Yeah, we'll see if they're going to be able to succeed this time, as last time RNG did get the better of the lane swap. Exactly as you said, they took that early dragon. MLXG and Lemmy are in position to start going for it, but instead they invade once again to continue with the vertical jungling. And all in all, seems like it's a very similar repeat of the last game that we just had, as Wushin continues to shove. Bit of a proxy coming out from Crystal, doing the same on the top side. And the jungler's even helping out a little bit. You might be caught out here, as there's a lot of people showing up. They're going to find him flash. Ooh, he's actually under the turret. Let me take some damage, and Great dodge on the death sentence. Flandre is like, should I go in? Can I go in? Ah!
2 flashes burned for 1, so, oh, actually they also got the cleanse. So technically 2 flashes burned for the cleanse and flash of you right there. Lei looking to try to CC chain his death sentence off of the twisted advance. Doesn't find it, so you lives to see another day, but that's definitely big advantage to Xiaohu now.
With that, you can see that Flandre is getting a very, very lucky opportunity. He's getting some CS in the early game, guys. Can you believe it?
It also should be noted that Wushin got a lot more help when he was setting up this wave as far as pushing down the tower, because we did have that big 20-second window where Beast was pulling, excuse me, not Beast, MLXG was pulling the wave from behind the tower.
Yeah.
So both these outer towers should fall at the same time.
Interestingly enough, RNG deciding to go for a gank early on instead of the early dragon. Snake are very close to being able to shove down that top tier 1, and you actually see Let Me going up there to catch the wave. I don't know that they're going to be able to, which means that Snake could send their duo bottom, making that early dragon a much more difficult endeavor.
It's pretty much a complete fumble if RNG don't make the use of having their duo on the bot side to secure that tower.
Well, I guess I have been saying duo. We haven't really seen Lei down there.
Well, he was down there for the
early
initial,
on. Yeah,
because they had almost like a 4-man push onto the tower, which they didn't really push the towers for, but they manipulated the waves to really even out the pressure that Sivir Crystal was putting on the top side. I totally forgot what I was going to say after that. You got, I was like, oh yeah, the dragon, that's not.
Yeah, so they were going for the dragon. Flandre was able to catch some farm in the mid lane. Now he's heading down, and it was Let Me. Just showed himself in the top, so Snake might not be able to take that tier 1 if Let Me's able to hold it.
I still think that they'll rotate down there. Oh, right, I remember. It was going to be MLXG, his ganking pattern. So the fact that RNG weren't prioritizing the objective control on Dragon, but prioritizing looking for that early ganks on you, this makes sense to the identity and the style of MLXG, their jungler. Again, a big playmaker, very aggressive RNG. They like to find their advantages through kills and fights as opposed to objective control and sieging.
Yeah, we can see that might be hurting them just a little bit. MLXG going for the aggressive ward is spotted out by the Wolf Spirit. Pings are going down, and yeah, there's the lane swap. The top tier 1 did end up going down for Snake, and the bottom tier 1 is at such low health, it might not even matter. As you have Wushin on the recall, going for the Phage first as you continues to find some harass. Here's Ella and MLXG, but instead they just traded out a little bit. Ella with the fast fingers finds MLXG, and Fiendish does so much.
Yeah, he's really starting to tear through with that glitter lance. Has the Fiendish Codex, so he has the CDR available to him, whereas we keep talking about Varus build. If you guys miss it, it's pretty much a Jace build. It's going to be a mirror mana into a Last Whisper, Brutalizer, CDR boots. It's all really just empowering his Q.
Crystal once again using that wave manipulation to shove it under that bottom tier 1. His own tier 1 is at exceptionally low health, but
get him, Lei.
Still able to hold it. Ooh, Lei misses the flay.
That's going to be fun.
And things seem to be, once again, successfully reset. All in all, Snake coming out reasonably ahead with that top tier 1, though again, their bottom tier 1 is very low health. The moment it's left undefended, it's going to be shoved down by someone on RNG.
It's very hard to push into Sivir now that she is in control of that lane, however, so it's actually fairly safe as long as Crystal is in the lane. Should be noted, likewise, that Wushin, with his initial back, he decided to go for the Phage, so a more defensive option of his Trinity ingredient versus the Uzi Sheen that he likes to see.
Yeah, and on the top side of the map, you do have Flandre meeting up with Let Me making it out of that scary early game trough, and Flandre looking to do the same as he actually opted for cloth armor and boots first. You can see he's allowing Let Me to continue shoving up, and he's just going to catch that wave once it gets a little closer to the turret.
It's going to be a fun lane for Let Me then. Obviously the cloth armor will do very little against the double Doran's Maokai.
MLXG getting a little bit low health as he clears through the jungle. We can see not a lot of wards out of Snake right now, and RNG, they've got a lot of deep wards on the Snake's jungle, so they might be able to find a pick. They can find someone out of position. Blue buff now being fed over to you, and RNG on the other side, they're going to spot that out. Their own blue buff is available as well, so they're going to get that over to Xiaohu as he continues to shove up into the lane.
I'm actually really surprised that neither team has vied for this dragon yet again. You talked about how RNG, they missed their window of opportunity having the initial swap where they had a numbers advantage on the bottom side of the map. We'll see if that doesn't come back to burn them kind of later in the game, and if Snake can transition that, because previously Snake have had phenomenal objective control. Even in the game that RNG won, they were behind for the majority of it.
Yeah. Previously on Dragon Ball Z, RNG had the better objective.
This time on Dragon Ball Z.
The better team fights.
That's curious, isn't it? The fact that RNG just out-team fought Snake.
Xiaohu, now with that blue buff trading back with you, he is going to have to recall right now. There goes the farm alarm. MLSB.
Look at the pings. He's there, he's there, he's there.
I think he's at the scuttle, guys.
I think it's time to rush Dragon, guys.
Oh, he's at scuttle.
He's right on a ward.
Somebody steal. Oh. I'm the kind of guy who sees someone taking an objective and then I ping it. Like, can we steal it? Can we steal it? When all 5 members are on the other side of the map.
Well, MLXG did just burn his Void Rush to the opposite side of the map. We'll see what Snake decide to do with this information, because they made it very clear.
They were like, he's here.
Ooh, and Xiaohu's also backing. This could be a really good window for Dragon for them.
Yeah, it just might be, as you see Beast and Ella looking for some forward wards. They've got Lei in the area. But once again, as you mentioned, Crystal has got to manage this wave. He cannot leave it, or else Swoosh In is going to shove it down. And Beast and Ella starting off the Dragon. They're very slow at burning through this thing. You can actually see MLXD's in the area, so he might be looking for a steal, as Xiaohu also went for a quick recall. Assist pings are coming down.
Yeah, I like that you noted that it's really important that Crystal maintains his position into that bottom lane just to secure that tower. It eventually does go over to Snake, so obviously the big catalyst for this was the fact that RNG just really mismanaged kind of their cooldowns and their timing windows. The fact that MLXG burned his Void Rush to the top side of the map for the Scuttle Crab, giving Snake the vision and the information of where he was located and what side of the map he was going to be playing on. And then compounded on top of that, the fact that Xiaohu chose that exact moment to go back and buy was a very clear and very open window for Snake to say, hey, free objective, that's what we like to focus. But again, it goes back to kind of the difference between these two junglers, Beast and MLXG. MLXG is very much more about the kills, about the ganks, about being aggressive and making playmaking, ganks and pressure happen on the lanes as opposed to the objectives.
Yeah, and we're now 11 minutes into the game. Snake did secure that first turret, and on top of that, they also get the first Dragon. They don't have as much of a CS lead as they had in the previous game, though I'm a little bit curious to see how they decide to transition it into team fights and transition it into some of those more important objectives.
Yeah, and of course they're running a very different style of composition. They still have the retained mobility that they had last time, but it's not in that assassination, self-sufficient hands. It's very much more cohesive as just a unit. And the thing that I really like about Hecarim is if you think about Hecarim in terms of, so picture RNG as billiard balls, okay, as a triangle set up. Now the onslaught of Shadow, just, yeah, exactly. They spiral all out. And that's so important when you think about RNG's last composition, how they were fighting, that it was the juggernaut composition, staying together, being just that turtle, that solid wall, and making sure that your backline was behind you and laying down that poke. But Hecarim has a perfect tool and a perfect kit to deny that.
And you've got Beast on Gragas as well. So if they continue to try staying as a turtle, they're going to find themselves flipped over with their juicy underside exposed.
The fleshy underside.
Yeah, so we'll have to see if that ends up working out.
I don't actually think turtles have fleshy undersides.
They do. Isn't that?
Well,
like you flip a turtle over and it's the bottom of the shell.
Yeah, but it's still hard.
But it's like softer. It's not like hard.
Did you know turtles hibernate?
Turtles hibernate?
Yeah.
Why do they hibernate?
The owners put them in little boxes. I'm assuming some turtles hibernate. I don't know if all of them do. But the owners put them in boxes inside their fridges, and they label the box, date to open. Yeah, when it's done hibernating.
Could you imagine inviting a friend over?
That's what I'm saying. You open up your fridge to get some pizza.
And it just says Fred. Why do you have a box that says Fred in your fridge?
If I had a hibernating turtle and I put it in my fridge, I would name the box after my mother. Just to see the look on people's faces.
Oh my gosh. I could see that going over really well. Hibernating turtle. Yeah. At least it's not a bear. If you had a walk-in freezer or something.
No.
And you just open the door hey, can you grab me a drink? And You know there's a bear in your freezer?
No, that's not how the conversation would go at all. First and foremost, why do you have a walk-in freezer where you could fit a bear?
Because I was like, you can't fit a bear in your fridge. Well, it's a walk-in freezer.
I was like, this is the map of Sada's like connections here. It's like hibernation, turtles. Okay, RNG to turtles, turtles to hibernation, bears.
Bears hibernate.
But I need a fridge that would be able to be big enough for a bear to make this joke work. Okay,
to make it a walk-in fridge.
Got it.
It's a logical connection, and if you don't follow it, that's nobody's fault but your own.
Hey, look, it's you.
Yeah.
Oh, it's us.
And now he's gone. Yeah. So, yeah, a little bit of pause going on as we try to get that all figured out.
Shuffles notes.
I don't even know.
Let's talk about Ask Me Anything. We got to pause. We got full time.
Oh my gosh, that's a dangerous thing. If you had a walk-in fridge,
not
what
this.
hibernating animal?
History of LPL. He's like, you have a wealth of knowledge. You're the historian of the LPL desk. And he's like, if you had a walk-in fridge.
What hibernating animal would you keep in it?
Sivir.
You would keep Sivir in your walk-in fridge?
Let's talk about the game now.
I could see Draven, because Draven would like cut up meat. He would be the executioner. He would be the butcher and like prepare cuts of meat in the walk-in fridge. Or like Darius. Sivir would be the mercenary. She would be the intern.
You could pay her to do it.
You could.
Fits with her lore. But hey, look!
As long as you don't backstab her.
Snake are getting a tower. Eventually.
Yeah, you can see Leia was creeping forward there. The tower finally goes down, and with that, that's 2 turrets now in favor of Snake. I got the giggles now.
No more.
Flandre trading it out with Let Me. You can see that early Ninja Tabby not being too effective, and Flandre, he might actually have to burn the onslaught. He does. And MLXG is like, oh, I wish I could chase him over the wall.
But again, this is a perfect microcosm of MLXG and everything that he means for this team. My tower in mid lane is going down, which is a very important objective to lose in terms of map control. Better gank top lane.
Yeah.
He'll always look for the aggressive plays versus the objective control. That's just, and it can be the success or the downfall of RNG.
We'll have to see if he's going to be able to shake it up a little bit. Death Sentence goes wide as Lei is looking for the pick right there, but he's not quite able to find it. And all in all, things once again returning to that slow laning phase. Snake do have those 2 turrets. They've got that first dragon. Crystal still managing that bottom tier 1 turret on the bottom side.
Yeah, and we can start kind of predicting where our team fights are going to go and when this game is really going to break open. So again, kind of back-to-back RNG, a very slow and steady style, no problem, you know, drawing at the lane phase, giving MLXG more time to kind of try to get something going or get someone going as far as his lanes are concerned. You get that onslaught of Shadow, so we'll see if they're able to make something stick up there since he doesn't have that key ultimate.
Yeah, we can see he's heading right back up now, building towards the Cinder Hulk. And he's actually building a rather selfless build right now, going for all of that pure armor. Ella looking for a potential gank with you, but he's not quite fast enough to make it down there in time. MLXG showing himself as well, and Crystal's like, what? Ooh, Death Sentence lands.
Doesn't have his W, he used it.
Yeah. I like to think that he chickened out. Because that's like Lee syndrome.
No, he would, if he had his W, he would have flashed. But again, MLXG in another lane, just trying to force things around the map, trying to make something stick. Now in the top lane, though.
Flandre shoves the wave. Xiaohu just flashed the wall right there. Flandre is at really low health, doesn't have the Onslaught of Shadows for another 15 or 20 seconds or so. The flash knockup finds him. Xiaohu gets into range, and Flandre goes down its first blood RNG.
Beautiful flash knockback from Let Me right there to allow Xiaohu to get into range. Obviously rotating up, but now Lei.
Looking for Crystal here.
Crystal's got spell shield.
Holding on to the spell shield. Uses it for the big one there, but he's under his own turret safety, and instantly RNG turn up the heat.
I love the mind games whenever Sivir's in a lane, like knowing she has a spell shield versus a skill shot, and just how Lei and Crystal were both positioning themselves in that little skirmish. Because obviously, Lei was looking for the death sentence there.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, Wushin was not able to break that turret just yet. They know that MLXG is in the area, and Crystal desperately trying to clear this wave out. He is going to succeed, and RNG do not get that turret to answer. Beast is showing himself on the top side. He was up there for a while as well as he looks now for Xiaohu. Xiaohu has no flash. He might just try to burn through Xiaohu's health here.
Frankly, I don't... Ooh, hold on.
Let's see if we can find him. There's no turret there. There's the Glitter Lance.
Oh,
Flandre's found him too. Poor Xiaohu's like, I wish I had an escape. He claps his heels together 3 times, and Yu picks up the kill.
I feel like Flandre using his Onslaught of Shadows. I want an assist!
Yeah.
I walked all this way for something.
So that pause right there was because Xiaohu was like, wait, I didn't want this champion. I want someone with an escape. And the referee just told him, no, you can't have that.
It was a great punishment from Snake, realizing that Xiaohu had burned his flash up into the top side, knowing that that was going to be a very easy kill right there. So good rotation. I feel like it was frankly a very big misstep from RNG. As I say that, Lucian going hard on Crystal.
Yes.
To not siege up this bottom tier tower. Can't talk.
Flash knockup as Ella's going to be caught out here. The play misses. He even goes down for the depth charge, and it looks like Yu might try to turn this. Here comes Wu Xin. Remember, Crystal's at really low health. The boomerang blade finds Lei, and here's a teleport from Let Me, but suddenly he realizes his team has already bailed. He turns now onto Crystal to try getting a kill, but he's going to go down as Yu collapse faster than RNG can.
Not the greatest teleport that we've ever seen from Let Me. We'll see what Snake are able to transition this into. It surely should be that bottom tier tower. Dragon will be spawning in 20 seconds, so can they take the tower and then reset their position in time for the objective? Or are they just going to clear the way?
Seems like they're just going to clear the wave. Dragon's up in 10 seconds. Crystal's at super low mana, and seems like both of the 2 teams are going to reset. Oh,
here
no.
comes MLXG.
Void Rush. Ella, you can see he is recalling in that brush. They do see him as he hops over the wall of the ward. I think if MLXG just went right in, he might have been able to catch them. Oh no, Crystal has
he doesn't want to risk a 1v2 scenario. He could have possibly killed one of them, but the big priority is the Dragon. And both teams prioritize. The fact that Snake didn't collapse all of their resources after making that pick to the bottom side is because they wanted to get back in position for this.
And here comes the Dark Passage to get Lei in there. The rest of Snake are collapsing, but the untimely recall from Crystal of Ella puts them out of position. Dragon looks like it might reset here. Oh no, Flandre is trying to catch it. Yeah, he does catch it before it resets. It's at half health. Here comes Beast. The management of the aggro on this Dragon is so excellent. The communication between these 2 teams is on par.
It's beautiful because they're working together.
Yeah. They both want to remove this terrifying creature from the rift. Been terrorizing local countrysides, and really these 2 teams coming together as such allies is so great. Oh no, it looks like they might turn on each other.
Onslaught of Shadows.
And Beast managed to get the steal. There's the hook on the Let Me. Remember, he already used his flash.
Great
knockup comes out as well. They dive forward. Ella's taking some damage. He's got to back away. A huge Onslaught of Shadows scatters the billiard balls, and the AoE is so huge. Oh my gosh, what just happened?
Snake just destroyed RNG. They take the Dragon, they take the ace, a clean ace, and they will surely take some sort of tower as they rush the mid lane. You want to talk about exactly how we set up that fight? A beautiful Onslaught of Shadows from Flandre right there. So patient with the cooldown, waiting until RNG again, covering their flanks. We're going to see the replay. This is crazy. There's the steal. And just watch how Flandre, he has his Onslaught of Shadows for the entire time here. He waits until all of RNG is collected, gets it across 5 members, and just the AoE from the ricochet as those billiard balls are scattered by the fear.
I imagine they made the sound too of billiard balls. I can't actually make the sound with my mouth or any
What can you make it with?
I just wanted to caveat that. But yeah, with that, it's a successful scatter for Snake. They're now up, what is that, 7,000 gold in 19 minutes into the game. They just blew this thing wide open. And look at who has all those kills. It's Ella, 4-0-3.
Snake, though, again, they're going back to their roots. They're a 5v5 team-fighting team. They got out-team-fought last time by RNG, so this time around, they reset their composition. They prioritize, okay, what do we need to do? If they're good at covering their flanks, we just need a tool to reset that. Hecarim.
Yeah, Hecarim definitely coming up big right there. You can see Wu Xin so desperate for that turret, but Flandre is going to peel him off of it a little bit. The Chain of Corruption finds him as well.
Flandre, I was trying to throw you a bone.
Yeah.
He immediately goes and feeds. Reported.
I don't know, can you call that feeding?
Yep.
That wasn't an intentional death.
Well, it won't be if they're able to get something, which again, Snake playing with pressure points. Flandre draws 4 resources of RNG to the bottom side of the map. Snake rushing to the top side. They do have a wave available, but RNG are resetting pretty quickly here.
Yeah, they certainly are. Here comes Lei. You can already tell that Letme's up there as well. Wushin running as fast as he can, and there are pings going down onto the Baron right now. Not a lot of vision as Baron hasn't been a big objective. It's 20 minutes into the game. Flandre doesn't have teleport. No, they just want to ward.
I think someone pinged Baron and Crystal's like, no. Goes ahead, backs, picks up the static shiv. Obviously a lot of wave manipulation. It's going to be opened up by that item and by him just being Sivir as well.
Yeah, so far, the only person who has died on Snake has been Flandre. You can see he's 0-2 right now.
I told you, he's just a feeder.
Gosh, some phenomenal play from Snake as a whole, as they did take that team fight really exceptionally well, but it seems like they're having some difficulty cracking those inhibitor turrets as RNG are like, all right, turtle mode.
I think I've seen this before.
I imagine they makes it sound like a transformer.
We're really on the sound effects tonight.
And then they turn into a turtle. Not like a robot turtle, but a turtle.
So Flandre does have his teleport available, but hold on, because On the Hunt is popped.
Yeah, I think Crystal was like, I need these minions, guys.
They were looking for a collapse on Let Me, but he's able to disengage really nicely from a lantern on Lei, a Dark Passage.
Oh, there goes the death sentence, but it goes wide. You can see Crystal now shoving up to try getting some damage onto the tier 2, but with MLXG and Lei there, he's going to have to be careful now that Xiaohu's there as well.
It's really important that Flandre is kind of sitting in Fog of War right now, kind of waiting and looking. Do I need to teleport? Do my team want to line up for a dive here, or am I going to be causing split pressure on the side of the map?
He is currently splitting, and looks like Let Me isn't going to let him do it.
I see what you did there.
Continue shoving on that tier 2 while Yu shoves in the mid lane. And it seems like, once again, Snake are trying to pull RNG around the map. Just keep on yanking on their leash until they eventually heal. Here comes Yu. They're now diving onto Let Me. There's the challenging smite. You can see Let Me's going low. No matter how tanky he is, Flandre's even tankier. And, ooh, Flandre's got to be careful there. A great cleanse from Yu gets him out. Is Xiaohu going to land this next arrow? Oh, he does! Great shot.
Kind of a misposition from Yu right there. As soon as he walked against the wall, that was pretty much death spelt for him, because obviously he can only juke one way. So if you just space it accordingly, it's going to be a free shot.
Yeah.
Oh, teleport top.
Yeah, this looks like Let Me trying to turn it around right quick as he collapses onto Crystal. And RNG finding pick after pick. Yu, Crystal, Flandre, and now Ella?
Snake, I mean, you talked about how they were trying to pull RNG apart from their leash, creating so many different pressure points, but just really getting caught and collapsed on. The thing that I want to point out for Let Me is he held his Twisted Advance. So typically when Maokai teleports and he runs up to someone, it's to lock them down with Twisted Advance. He knew that Crystal had his flash, and so he was waiting for Sivir to burn the flash to use the Twisted Advance as a gap closer, so he wouldn't have to use his own.
Very solid play out of Let Me, but with the successful picks from RNG, they are able to crack down that mid-tier 1, and they finally secured the bottom tier 1 on top of it as well. You can see they're actually getting some solid pressure onto the top side of the map as well, so they might even look for that third tier 1 turret just off of those 3 picks. And Snake, they were punished pretty hard right there. I
know, Snake, they won a team fight. They kind of scattered around the map and just got picked out in every single direction, but great work from RNG. They had some nice defensive boards. A lot of them have expired now, but really what catalyzed all of those picks at once.
So now we're 23.5 minutes into the game. Dragon's just now spawning. This is going to be number 3 for Snake, and if they get this, it's going to help them so much. They're rushing forward to find MLXG, who just burrows right over the wall, and they're going to steal away this poor Gromp camp. If they can actually get MLXG to burn his smite. Wait, did he smite? He did. Okay, he has 2. And
yeah, he's got the stats.
Yeah, there's nobody there to even challenge it. So Snake secure this third dragon. That means they'll be on time for a 36-minute Dragon 5. That's a pretty scary dragon.
MLXG heading somewhere.
That's the Raptor camp.
I'm just saying, obviously he's heading to the opposite side of his jungle because he knows that Snake walked into the bottom side and pretty much took all the resources. I was curious if he was setting up for maybe a flank and a collapse on Flandre, but I think he was just trying to find something to farm.
Yeah. You just wanted somebody to love.
So right now, Snake have been doing a far superior job than RNG, again, playing with different pressure points. Yeah, they got cut out and they made some picks, but overall, they have complete objective control. They've got 2 more towers as well as all 3 dragons. And again, just to keep hammering on this point, this is really the 2 defining differences of these teams. They both have great 5v5. We saw RNG able to outfight Snake last time, but Snake are just much more matured in kind of their different options about how they move about the map, not only in the team fights, but in their side wave management.
Yeah, and right now you just saw on the mini-map and on the map in general, there was a significant lack of vision for RNG. They're really going full defensive right now as Snake are just running rampant with these aggressive wards. They've got this whole thing lit up like crazy. And you can now see Xiaohu. They just saw Lei. They know that all 5 members of RNG are on this side of the map. So they're going to send Flandre to split and contest this red.
And it's also very scary to not have deep vision against a Sivir and a Hecarim, just because she can get on top of you so quickly from Fog of War. Did he get it? He got it.
He did indeed, and the Chain of Corruption was just used by Xiaohu, and with no flash down, that means he's going to have to play super careful for the next few minutes. Ooh, Flandre, there you go.
And again, Flandre, he's spotted out by a pink ward that he doesn't realize is there, but he constantly makes sure that he walks away from at least the creep vision. Of course, now he knows that pink ward's there.
Yeah.
And he stands in Fog of War just to hide his presence and say, okay, my team's, you know, positioning around to fight. If they hide from Fog of War, then I can help eliminate some sort of information from RNG if they want to take that fight, or I can teleport in, or I can continue to split push. So.
See, once again, he's ducking in and out of that Fog of War, continuing to pull Let Me around the map. He's actually opening up really solid in overall experience, 2 levels over Let Me, and he's going to get that level 16 ultimate real quick if he continues to split push like this. Let Me, while he is going full defense with the Righteous Glory and the component-based build, he's having a pretty tough time trading with Flandre just because of some of that overall experience. And right now, Flandre does have his teleport as well, while the rest of Snake are on that side of the map, so we could see them set up for a potential Baron play, or perhaps a pick based off of vision.
And I'm glad that you brought up the fact that Let Me went for his double resistance build. So this is a fairly common thing now. I believe it started in Korea, but a lot of top laners will take just the ingredient items as far as their big resistance items for both MR and physical damage, simply because it's preparing them for those big mid-game team fights, as opposed to, you know, itemizing for their lane only. So really being team-oriented.
Yeah, you can see MLXG on the screen right now as he is preparing to get back onto the Rift. He's been doing a pretty solid job so far for RNG, this time on Rek'Sai. Not having the best of times, but definitely not the worst of times.
I mean, frankly, MLXG is their big playmaker, and he hasn't really gotten it off the ground. Was looking for multiple ganks across pretty much every single lane, really using Rek'Sai's mobility to his advantage, but wasn't able to make it stick. So they didn't get the snowball. That said, RNG, again, just like Snake, have a very strong team fight, have already proven in Game 1 that they really understand how to use their tank line and play with poke composition. So we'll see if they're able to do it this time around. Of course, Snake completely changed up their gears and went for a super hard engage composition.
Yeah, and that definitely paid off dividends as you saw that last team fight. However, they still were picked off just a little bit by RNG as a couple of members were out of position. And once again, they are on timer for that 36-minute Dragon fight. If they can take this next Dragon at 30 minutes, they will have complete control over this mid-game transition into the late game. And once again, you can see Flandre just being a nuisance, as annoying as possible. He did steal away that blue buff, so RNG have been having a really difficult time securing their own buffs, and MLXG clearing out some wards here. Whoop!
The setup right now is Baron. Obviously, with Dragon down, you have a 6-minute window where you can play to the top side of the map. We've seen both teams kind of peeking their head, trying to lay down defensive and offensive vision around the pit. And really, it just comes down to one single pick. If either jungler goes down, both these teams could just burst towards that Baron, and that'll really break open the game. We do have a gold lead to Snake, but RNG could very easily come back from this.
Yeah, they definitely can. You can see the Blade of the Rune King now finished on Wu Xin on top of that Trinity Force, so he is going to do some serious damage, and Xiaohu's poke is terrifying. We already saw some of those arrows shred through poor Yu and Beast's health. And Beast is even building nice and tanky, so it looks to be pretty scary.
It should be noted that Crystal here on his Sivir, true to his Draven identity, has foregone his last Whisper and is going straight into a Bloodthirster.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, makes sense. There's not a lot of armor that he's dealing with. Pretty much the only guy who has resistances built up as far as armor is concerned is Let Me in that top lane. Otherwise, you have completed MR items for MLXG.
Yeah, so things definitely looking pretty good for Crystal as he's going to be doing some serious damage in this next fight. Now, it's a minute and a half before that dragon is back up. There are a lot of wards in the pit for RNG, but Snake continuing to look for deep wards on this side. A double ward dropped out from MLXG as you tries to dodge some of this harass. There's so much vision. 4 members of Snake here while you've still got Flandre splitting on the other side. They're just waiting for someone to get caught out of position.
That said, they have to be very careful about just sitting in one area and eating multiple rotations of Xiaohu's poke. We saw what Godney could do with Varus mid yesterday.
Yeah, you can see Flandre now. Once again, keeping Let Me occupied. He does have level 16, completed his Frozen Heart, not opting for an MR item because that is a lot of armor on their team.
Double
attack
80
damage.
carry composition.
Yeah. So he's going to go for the Trinity Force second after the Ninja Tabby, so he should be plenty tanky. He's already up to 234 armor.
Has to be careful.
Spike. Yeah, now Dragon is spawning in 20 seconds. He got an untimely recall from Crystal, who did shove a wave on the top side, and RNG, suddenly they seem like they're a little split right here.
Yeah, not really. Again, managing their side waves accordingly. They haven't had any objective control of this game at all, as you can see by the fact that they don't have any dragons. This one would be fairly important if they're able to secure the first dragon at 30 minutes, not just because, you know, you have so many core items that you can stack that scaling AD and AP stat on, but more importantly because they have a Corki. Wushin, on his Corki. Corki's one of the few ADCs that gets stats not only from his AD, but also from his AP because he does mix damage, especially with the Trinity Bork Sorcerer's Boots build.
Yeah, you can see Crystal and Flandre are going to start up that Dragon. RNG have got to know this is happening. They don't have vision, but with Snake zoning it away, that's Dragon number 4 secured, and Snake might look for a flank right here. They've got it. They do decide to blow the On the Hunt. Beast gets in. Teleport coming in from Let Me. Let's see if he's going to be able to get to the back line. And once again, it seems like Snake are going to dive forward. Flandre doesn't make it all the way back, but he doesn't need to. He's got Beast who knocks Xiaohu right on in. They've got so much damage. Let Me is going to go down. Xiaohu follows him shortly thereafter. Whoosh running for his life. And, oh, they actually are able to turn a kill onto Beast with a great big one. And Flandre, he's got so much armor. The hook goes wide. Crystal kills Lei. And Wushin still alive. And, oh, they even managed to kill Flandre from his overextension.
A little bit of overzealous on the dive kind of evens this back up in RNG's favor. Good AoE damage coming out from Wushin, but Snake, again, they identified exactly what went wrong in the first game, changed up their composition. Just so much AoE control from Crystal's boomerangs and hard engage from this Hecarim on Flandre is letting them run RNG over with these fights, but frankly, RNG shouldn't have been in that position to begin with. A very sloppy teleport from Let Me. They knew that Snake was on that dragon. They knew that the timer was up, but just allowed themselves to get flanked. And with that 4th dragon, that means a very easy Baron should Snake ever get on top of that objective.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see if they are going to be able to secure it. Big wave now building on the top side and the bottom side, and here's a replay of how this breaks down just exactly. You can see Crystal in the back is just doing so much. Big
thing also, you see Beast swinging behind here. He's going to get right on top of Xiaohu there. Uses the cask, throws him back into his team. Again, Crystal's AoE damage is just cleaning up the front line of RNG, but Beast pretty much single-handedly takes out Xiaohu from the backside.
Yeah, Wushin with the great fadeaway big one. He even makes it out of here and barely dodges that hook from Ella.
See, if Snake had just made the decision instead of chasing so deep here, yes, MLXG is still alive in the jungle, so the threat of a smite steal is there, but they could have easily turned on the a Baron bait at least and tried to assassinate the jungler, but...
Ooh, looks like Snake are hitting the go button once again. They turn now on to Let Me. He's so tanky, but what can you do when there's so much damage? They find Xiaohu at the red buff, and he gets destroyed. Wushin and Lei look like they're going to run away, and Let Me, he's just buying time right now, but he's almost certainly going to go down.
But Snake are definitely baiting into this.
Oh.
Yep, gotta chase him.
There it is. Oh, hey, oh, who's going to get it? And it's Crystal.
Okay, but what do they do with this? Right now, Flandre's looking top.
Yeah, he looks like he might dive Lei right here. You can see Wushin opting for the recall instead. No, he dashes in, turns onto you. Is he going to be able to kill him? Yes, he does. And Flandre, without his AP carry, decides maybe he should go in after the side? No, backs away.
Again, Snake, overzealous in their chasing. They don't prioritize, sieging an objective off of the pick set they're making or making multiple pressure points around the map. They're pretty much just kind of sacrificing any advantage that these picks have given.
Yeah, you can see they're having a bit of a difficult time transitioning those picks into more important objectives, as once again, those top and bottom tier 2s are still standing. That mid one went down a long, long time ago. Beast looking like he might find MLXG just for a bit of harass. Here's Ella, and Flash comes out. There goes the depth charge. Traded for the Flash. Hashtag worth.
It really feels like Snake's primary win condition and goal right now is the 5th Dragon. Yeah. There are a lot of pings going around the Baron, and obviously, again, if they catch out MLXG and they're able to assassinate that Rek'Sai, they could easily turn on that Baron with their Smite. Because, again, Letme's playing Maokai, doesn't have the Smite top laner like Flandre does on his Hecarim. But so far, that's just been mismanagement of kind of their resources.
And we've seen now that Snake can take a full 5-on-5. They are a little overzealous in their extension, but they have got the game completely in their hands. They've got complete control. Dragon's up in 2 minutes. MLXG trying to clear out these wards, just buying time for his team right now. Wushin actually going for a bit of a recall, or that's Xiaohu, while Wushin knocks down that turret. Yeah,
RNG caught out of position here as Snake are rushing down this mid lane. RNG quickly trying to reset their position on the map, but surely this will be a 3 inhib tower.
Yeah, unfortunate positioning from RNG and Snake. They take it down, and they're going to back away. Ooh, Blunder's got to be careful here.
Free objective.
You know you're fast when you can outrun the death sentence projectile speed.
Yep.
Gotta go fast.
Outrun it in a straight line.
Yeah. But then again, he has to rev up. He can't just like start off at that speed.
RNG are just, they can't micromanage their pieces around the map well enough to deal with Snake. Snake are, I mean, you keep using the leash analogy, but it's fairly accurate. Just kind of yanking them around.
Now, Dragon number 5 is up in 1 minute. And Snake are currently setting up some waves to split on both sides of the map. You've got Flandre. He doesn't have his teleport, but I'm sure once he clears that wave out, is going to recall you, going to be doing something similar.
He needs to be very careful because he lost vision. He did have a deep ward mid lane, a very high traffic area, so he knows that they're starting to rotate down here. Looks like we're looking at a replay here.
Yeah, this is the fight that happened. Oh, the pick from Flandre, yeah. And, oh, poor Xiaohu. He's like,
so much damage.
Oh my gosh.
He just ran in there 1v4. I mean, effectively he had a wild growth, but...
Yeah, so now Dragon number 5's up in 20 seconds. Snake are all grouped up on this side of the map. Letme might be trying to find a pick onto you if he goes through that. Nope, decides to take the safe route. And looks like Snake are going to hit that pressure point of that bear inhibitor in the mid lane as Flandre finds some free damage onto Letme. Letme's actually going really low here. Challenging Smite even being used. They're going to try killing him. In the meanwhile, a fight breaks out. Beast goes low. Wushin does so much damage. Letme finally falls. Here's Flandre joining in with the rest of his team. The Onslaught of Shadows finds 2 members. He doesn't quite get far enough to get into the back line, but it does not matter. He has enough damage. That horse is huge as he charges further and further forward. It's not so much of a Trojan horse because he himself is the threat, not what's inside of him. And he charges forward, killing another member. That's Wushin who goes down, and Snake are going to take this game without taking that dragon.
Flandre leading the charge, has the Elixir of Iron, so of course he has that nice little speed shrine behind him on top of the Wild Growth. He is massive. The reach of his Q is oppressive, and really Snake, they shifted gears. They understood that, hey, if RNG are going to stick together and we're not able to find a good flank, we're just going to run them over and use the power of Sivir to help us put position.
Yeah, and I was telling you, it's about that turtle's underbelly. You just gotta flip it over with a horse.
You just run it over.
Yeah, and then hopefully it'll flip onto its belly and you just kind of...
But that is the 1-1. But here's what's interesting again about kind of the system that LPL uses as far as a point system. So we said if RNG were able to 2-0 Snake here, that they would actually be tied in points. Of course, they find the draw, which means that they get 1 point as opposed to 3. But these teams are, you know, fairly spread out as far as the standings are concerned, simply just because Snake has a superior or 1 more win versus a draw from RNG.
Yeah.
But when they're matched up, they're fairly close in skill.
They certainly are, and that was actually a fairly close game right now, and Snake, they were